Flickering, dazzling and beguiling, the pieces on display in this exhibition offer much more than meets the eye.
Each of these works is a really key work in the individual artist's career. So we're not showing, it's not a chronological sort of walkthrough of the history of light art. There are these key moments, and so in fact it's incredibly special to have 2 or 3 or 4 of these individual works to be brought together as a rarity.
A far cry from the refined world of oil paintings and marble sculptures, these works represent a bold new frontier in the art world.
These were new materials, these were new objects for sculpture. They were commercially available, they were everyday, and morally talked about the fact they were untainted by the history of art. They didn't have any sort of prehistory, they didn't have any pre-associations in art, so they enabled artists to try and do something entirely new.
Artist David Batchelor's playful use of colour and salvaged industrial elements invites the viewer to share a new perspective, one where artifice is stripped away to reveal the inner workings beneath, or in this case, behind.
I'd always wanted to make a sculpture which had a very distinct front from back, a bit like a stereo system or any sort of household appliance. And where you'd see it, depending on where you saw it from, you'd get a very different experience. And in the end, by turning this to the wall, it kind of gives you both experiences at the same time. You do principally see the back of the work, but you get that halo and that flood of light which tells you something about what's on the other side, but not everything. It's called magic hour, which is a term for that moment when the light fades in Vegas and all the illuminations come up. And the thing about Vegas is if you look at it in daytime, it's really awful. And it really only exists as a city at night, which is kind of fantastic.
The interplay of darkness and light is a richly tapped theme in Light Show, which will run in conjunction with Sydney's very own light show, the Vivid Festival, which gets underway from the 22nd of May until the 8th of June.
We're a partner with Vivid. We actually do an amazing projection on the outside of our building with one of our collection artists with Vivid. This show is also a way in which we could actually bring out some work from our own collection. There's this wonderful history of Australian artists working with light. So we brought some of that work out downstairs in the building in a show called Luminous. So during that period of Vivid, we sort of had the outside of the building. We wanted to encourage people to come in, see the Australian work, and then come upstairs and see that kind of international history and really get quite a deep and rich experience of what light art can be.
So with the city as a canvas, there will be plenty of inspiration for artists.
I really work with colour. I've worked with colour for 20 odd years, and in the city, of course, one of the principal forms of colour is illuminated colour. So that's one aspect of my work, is working with lights and coloured light, but it's not the only thing I do. But I am particularly interested in how we see colour in the city, and in particular how colour really comes into its own at night.
The works that deal in colour, that particularly are the works that are playing with our perception. They're about what actually happens when we're in spaces in saturated colour. Now, we look around us in the everyday, we're very, very attuned to perceive any number of colours at once. What happens when that attuned quality we have gets thrown out and we've just saturated with one colour? What do we actually start doing? What do we actually start seeing in our mind's eye? But there's also there are the pieces such as the Anthony McCall projection work, where it is trying to make light a sculptural form, make the immaterial somehow feel material.
Even more reason to discover these pieces for yourself and to see the world in a whole new way.